I understand.
All good. I was joking, but let's see if we're going to get this to actually work this time. There's always a delay on your phone.
Yeah, there's always a delay.
Live, so.
It's weird. There's 4 people in there.
We are used to pre-stream panic, so no worries.
And we usually always start the countdown, so we have a few extra minutes.
Yeah, I think we've got some funky mech-looking thing that counts down for the streams when Pillar does it.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Oh, look, we're live.
I haven't heard from Pillar yet, so.
Are we on?
Oh, we didn't hear you. Okay. We're half deaf. All right. Hello, welcome to In Conversation. And with this one, we're very excited. We have Freecompany with us. And they're going to talk a little bit about Eldfall Chronicles and the journey, and maybe share a little bit of secrets about what's coming up. But yeah, there's some other news as well, but Eldfall Chronicles, we're very excited, aren't you?
Yes, very. We had our demo game yesterday that we actually videoed. And yeah, I'm afraid we butchered it a little bit, but we're learning, we're getting there.
So we have Ziga here. Thank you very much for joining us. And we don't have a camera for the other person, but maybe you could introduce yourself and who's with us, and then we can go from there.
Definitely. Thanks for having us today. I am with you, Giga. And with me I have Aljaž, basically.
Yes. Hello.
Our project manager and also a developer.
Hello.
Excellent.
Nice to meet you.
We're very grateful that you could come along and join us today. We're very excited very excited to have you here, and very excited for the game. It was really cool. I saw it on the Kickstarter, and I saw like the basics of sort of what you were going for game mechanics, and I said, yeah, this could be really good. Anything with D20s is always exciting, you know.
Yeah. Adam and Russ are in. G'day, guys.
Oh, lovely.
Audio's a bit tinny. Did you see that, Pillar?
No,
nothing
okay.
you can do about
Okay.
it. Sorry, buddy.
That's going into the waste paper basket for
later,
for sorting out problems. Sorry about that.
That's tomorrow problems, folks.
Oh dear, that's all right. We're spending all our resources on getting this sort of stuff in, all that.
Yeah,
goodies and
getting games.
All right, so mate, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did Eldfall Chronicles come about? Tell us.
Yeah, okay, so in short, I don't know exactly where to start the story. But basically, Aljaž and we've been classmates since elementary school. So at some point at high school, we just wanted to do something and do it for fun. But as years progressed, and by the end of university, we decided that, yeah, I think we should at some point make something. So at first it was like just, something like a manga or a novel. And then as we played a lot of war games and so on, at some point, like I had a friend that was collecting anime figures at the time in the university. And he was like, I was always sketching stuff, for the fantasy projects I had in mind. And at some point he was like, during the class he was like, dude, you should make your own miniatures. And I was like, damn, maybe we should make our own miniatures at some point. And yeah, it started like that.
No.
So a few years
there's
later,
no explosions or bombs or anything like that. No superheroes. It was just, we should do this, and they said, yes, we should do that. Love it.
Basically. And yeah, a few years later, we were doing like rules and everything for the game, concept design and so on. And basically when the COVID hit, the university was cancelled for like a year and so on. And that basically gave us the chance to prepare everything and so on. And that was, I think, about 2 years ago. So yeah, at that point, we decided to go all in, create our own content. At that point, basically, none of us really had any experience and special skills in the area. For example, Tiasha, my girlfriend, and our chief editor, and so on. She basically learned literary writing and so on, editing all the digital programs needed, to graphically design things. I basically learned how to illustrate digitally and so on. Aljaž learned basically all the supporting problems and programs we needed to, fix out and so on to work things. And Patrick, our fourth assisting hand, basically he learned all the product photography, filming, and so on. So yeah, it was basically a lot of learning and progress for us. But at the same time, it was a lot of fun, so we had no problem going with that.
Yes. So our only previous experience was with playing games.
More or
Everything
less.
else was learned from scratch.
You've given hope to a whole bunch of geeks and nerds all over the world.
That's
it. Yeah.
You've had
I had a
experience with
dream.
games.
Off I go.
The rest you can pick up as you go along.
Oh, dear.
Basically, happy to do so. But yeah, I mean, it was a journey. It's a steep learning curve, but like, if as long as you're determined, I think, and if you're lucky enough that external factors don't run you over, then I think everything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, for many, COVID was quite disastrous, but there are cases where people would just sort of have to stop for whatever reason. For yourself, the university and all that sort of thing gives you some time.
Yeah, you've got a lot of
what else
extra
could I
time,
do with my life? What else, things that you probably wouldn't have time for and wouldn't sort of give any thought to. Suddenly, it's relevant.
Yes, exactly. It
I'm
gave us a momentum.
very glad that you took the time. Yeah, and that's really good, because I tell you what, I'm really, really loving the final product.
It is very cool.
So good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm so good.
Enjoying my coalition guy.
He's enjoying it too much. I think I need to get some wins under my belt.
I think that's Aljaž's favorite faction as well. So I think you.
There you go.
At least.
So I blame her. Is that what you're saying? Fair enough. Yeah, no, I'm gonna get into trouble for that. I won't be doing that.
No, don't do that.
Oh well. So what was your inspiration for Eldfall Chronicles? I mean, you've come up with the world, you've come up with a history and things like that. But what was? I'm trying to figure out how to say it. So the style of game that you've decided on, why that? Why not a big sort of mass army? Why this? Why does this work for you?
Honestly, a lot of factors actually. Among the most prevalent ones are, in my opinion, of course, literary works like George R.R. Martin's works and so on. Then we have the general, human history, mythology, and so on. Then we have historical martial arts, which a lot of us practice. And many factors actually. All the games we played through our childhood and so on, I think, were the influence for making the game as it is. So why we decided to go with small parties? One thing is that adventuring feeling, where everyone counts. It's not just like a lot of cannon fodders, heroes, and so on. We wanted to make things realistic and so on, make you feel like you're playing a party. Because basically, we all in the group, in my team, we were all playing a lot of MMORPGs in our high school years and university and so on. And that did shape what we want to do a lot. And then, we basically developed things from there. Like we played a lot of games like Guild Wars, Terra, stuff like that, Blade and Soul. Then, of course, the more known things like Dark Souls nowadays, Elden Ring, and The Witcher and things like that. Those settings really shaped our ideas, how we want to shape things and such. But at the same time, we really want to base things in a realistic historical setting, while giving everything a bit of a more, I won't say modern, but like a bit of an Asian inspired setting. Because at the same time, me and Tiasha, we are both graduates of East Asian studies, so East Asia put a lot of influence in what we like and so So yeah.
Well, my
Yes.
wife also studied Asian cultures and things
Really?
like that. She's Asian studies. Yeah. So she
Oh, okay.
loves you now.
We're the same
What is
major then. Fantastic. But yeah, otherwise, basically, when it comes to, I think that the whole setting, design, art, and so on. I mean, for art, obviously, things like Final Fantasy and anime, manga, those were big influences. While at the same time, we
Yeah.
wanted to make things realistic. But when it comes to like the whole world design, I think George R.R. Martin had the biggest influence, because it was really when I basically Aliage got me into the whole thing in high school, and we were reading the World of Ice and Fire. So basically, how George R.R. Martin he designed the world, and that was a bit mind blowing, because he really went into like details and how to do some things and so on. And I think that really helped us shape the whole thing. But of course, when it comes to gameplay, like since I remember, I've been playing war games. I think that was it from elementary school. I started, of course, with Warhammer, then transitioned to Infinity, Malifaux, and other games like that. So of course, like that based the perception of the gameplay and so on. But we really wanted to implement this MMORPG, features like party combat and so on, dynamicism, things like that, skills, how they are used, how each character is basically an identity on its own, and so on. We really wanted to include that. So yeah, as again, a lot of things shape the setting.
If I may jump in right here.
Yeah, please.
One of the things we also figured out as we were putting things together, and when we were at the stage of playtesting, if we had a smaller model count, it also brings the game time down. So you can finish a game under an hour. Maybe you want a rematch or something like that. So that's one of the nice things.
Aliash and I, we both played a lot of Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! And it was always fun, like how you can get multiple games within 1 hour or a bit more maybe. And we really wanted to translate that to the tabletop. So yeah, that was also a big factor.
Yeah. Well, it's you've definitely done it. I mean, there's enough variety in there with skills and abilities and spells and whatever
everything
to create something.
meshes in together. It's really cool.
Yeah. But we've mentioned a couple of times that it's geared very well for tournament play. It could be very, very fast, and people who know how to play, you're watching their games. Yeah,
I was going to say we haven't gotten fast yet.
No. But I did say professionals.
I think you're doing pretty well.
We're doing okay. I'm going to point out that I haven't sorted him out there, but Russell was saying if it's Eldfall Chronicles. No, it's Eldfall, but Adam's already sorted him out there. I'm going to show you the box, man.
It's
Eldfall.
They didn't print it backwards at the factory. On our screen, it's backwards, but that's okay.
It's all
good.
Actually, when you mentioned tournaments, we are developing the whole tournament scene, and we really want to include the character customization in that. So that will be interesting. We'll be talking about that more later.
Yep. That's good. So I see you've been to a few conventions over in Europe. So tell me, how's that been going? The pictures that I've seen online, that seem that there's a lot of interest. People have stopped and had a look, had a chat with you. How is the scene for
it? It looks pretty good, honestly. I do not exactly know what to expect because it's my first time doing this, but all in all, it's been very exciting and busy and so on. So I'm very happy about that. The Spiel convention in Essen was completely mind-blowing. As I probably mentioned before, we are from Slovenia, and Slovenian population is 2 million people. And basically our capital has the same population as was the attendance of the Spiel Essen.
No. Wow, that's a lot of people to talk to.
Yeah. I got overwhelmed at Supernova, and that was like that.
Wow. Yeah. So look, I've sort of been invited to Spiel by some of the other sort of wholesalers and things like that.
Okay.
And of course, I don't really need to go there, but I tell you what, it's one of those. It's probably a bucket list thing You know, if you're allowed to go to one of those things, you should go. It's definitely,
Yeah.
and for people like yourself who are trying to launch a product and things like that, it's definitely worth doing.
Oh, definitely. I mean, first time convention, it was very difficult. We didn't know even how to prepare exactly. Now we know. It was pretty busy, like we've been crowded all the time. And
Yeah.
for the next year, we already have a few plans what we should do, what we should bring with us, and things like that to make things more manageable for us. So
Yeah.
it was very exciting.
You
and a lot of
slowly
people
figure
came.
out what you got to take and what you don't got to take, and where everything
Yeah.
goes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have to optimize things because we went by car, you know, because Slovenia is quite close to Germany. It's only Austria in between. But still, it was like 12-hour ride to there. So yeah, there's a lot of things. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's great. Like in Slovenia, our first convention was actually in Slovenia, but it was, as you can imagine, a smaller convention. It was fun, it was nice, it was wholesome, but nowhere near the scale of how Spiel was. So yeah, we are slowly learning the ways of convention.
But I tell you what, you did it right. You had a nice cabinet there with all your models and the product laid out. Everything was painted. Everything was looking just how it should have. You know, when you were showing off your product, man, it was. When I saw those pictures there and I'm flicking through them, I said, "Yeah, that's cool. That's really good."
We actually had a bit of a space problem because, like, a lot of there's a few other creators in Slovenia for a few other games, and we wanted to, together with our local only one retail store that stocks war games and so on, we wanted to give a bit of a spotlight to them. But it ended up that we were all a bit too crowded, like we didn't have enough space. So for the next year, apparently we each need our own stand to figure things out.
Well, you already have some new products that you've announced that are coming out. There's the Wayfarers, which looks very, very good. Especially you're going to really like them because you've got some big riding cat thing. I did know the name of it. What did you call that big? I don't know. What is it? What is that thing that they ride?
The cat / dog / horse thing. We call
it. I already love it.
It's basically our first mount introduced to the game. And yeah, her rider is basically the Slayer Dragoon. I recommend you look into it. We still have a few things to show about that. We'll be uploading the mounted rules during this week and also adding some more lore to each of those new characters.
Lovely.
And she really plays well. You're gonna love how she plays in the Tenion faction. She's very.
I'm not going to love her because she's coming up against me.
Yeah, you're going to hate her guts.
Yeah.
Well, these guys have been like super duper fun to play. I like my glass cannons, and these guys are just like get in there and just kill stuff.
Yeah, they do have they have a play style that you were designing to be how they are, and they play really well. You've nailed it. They're all really good.
Yeah,
really, really good.
Thanks.
You're doing another Kickstarter in March. Is it March? You're doing something
March
else.
or April. We are still deciding.
March or April.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that is? Because I think it's adding some other elements to the game that's not part of the main sort of box, the main thing. That's new, right? Mm-hmm. Something else?
Exactly. Yeah. We call the expansion the Northern Wind. You'll know why it's called that a bit later. But basically, it will introduce dungeon crawl mechanics to the game. So our game is a war game, but there's not many war games that basically can be played as dungeon crawlers, I think. And that's where we wanted to, move in a bit and introduce something new, because I always wanted to, as I said, we developed the party play style because we played a lot of adventure games ourselves. And what is adventure without a dungeon crawl? So that's one big thing we want to introduce in the next campaign. So including tiles for you to explore some per random, some per design, and so on, and where you can really fight, in narrow pathways with a lot of environmental features, monsters ambushing you from, the front and from the back and so on, and really give you that tense feeling of you have to get somewhere to get something done. So yeah, that will basically introduce a new set of monsters as well. The Oni, demons from the Empire, from the north of the Empire, actually. And then it will also introduce 4 hero characters in a way, not heroes in a sense of epic, legendary hero, but in a character that is known throughout the world. Each from its own faction, while at the same time they are working for the Adventurers Guild. And yeah, that will introduce a lot of new things to the whole game, a lot more customization, and definitely, as I said before, the dungeon crawl style of the game, which will also be interchangeable with like how the game is played now. So you'll be able to use the already existing models in that settings, and vice versa. Because
Yeah,
and
that's
again, we
good. I
want to
like
make
that.
the game. Yeah. Thanks. But yeah, we want to introduce a few things like the movement and so on. I think is quite intimidating to people new to the wargaming and so on, and making it tile-based movement. I'm not saying grid-based. We are avoiding the grid-based movement and so on. We don't want to make chess out of this. But what we are trying to do is like have an open movement, but with certain very little restrictions. And it plays basically the same way as you would play in a war game, except that you don't need to use the measuring tool most of the time,
Okay,
or even all the time. Yeah.
right.
So that
So
tiles do allow you that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
that is cool. Yeah, and you've designed it so you can actually dabble in something like that and see how far you can go with it. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
that was in plan from the beginning. So, yeah,
Uh,
that would
Lovely. We
basically
got a
sum it
question
up.
in the chat if you want to do that. What's that? Sorry, Terry. Russell's asking if the game will have the ability to be played solitaire. Yes, it already does.
Yeah,
I was going to say it's already
Yeah.
solo capable, isn't it?
Why don't you tell us about all the game system types from the Adventurer box that we've got here
Sure.
that's on pre-order with us now? Tell us all about that.
Okay, so as the question was, you can definitely play the game solo. We designed the AI and so on for the game, and also the balancing system. So how to basically make the game easier or harder depending on the number of players, and so forth. Then, well, the game was primarily designed to be, played PvP, so player versus player. You can play that with 2 players or to how many players you like, but do keep in mind that with more players the game will get longer and potentially deadlier as well, with all the reactions and so on. At the same time, you can play cooperatively, again with 2 players or more, against the game itself. As I mentioned before, all the monsters, and we are also, unlocked in Kickstarter was also an option where every single model in the game will have an AI. We are working on that. Well, not right now, but yeah, in the meanwhile. So basically, you'll be able to play the game against everything already existing in the game as well. Not just the monsters, also other parties, and all the monsters that are coming in the future as well. So I think these are the primary 3 ways of play. And of course, we'll be adding the dungeon crawl to it, which you'll be able to play either like playing a single hero or playing the whole party or how many characters you like. Why would you limit a player if it's not necessary? So yeah, primarily 3 types of play: solo, PvP, and co-op. And yeah, that's what we are aiming for, and that's what we are developing on.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, definitely. So tell us about magic in this world. How does that work?
Okay, so we have 7 elements of magic. Each element of magic has its own specifics and its own limitations. Some elements are better for offense, some are better for defense, some for support, some for healing, and so on. And Now, it really depends on what kind of spellcaster you're playing. We have different classes that facilitate different ways of play. For example, you have sorcerers who are better at offensive magic, meaning that they will be more ideal for fire-based elements and stuff like that. But in a sense, each spell element has different, categories like sorcery, healing, and so on that can be used in different situations to a different extent. And how to put it simply, it really depends on what affinity and what specialization a model is good at. You'll have different elements doing different things. I think I overcomplicated the explanation, but in a sense, spells give you a lot of variety. They give you a toolbox and a lot of different options.
And if you're using upgrades, you can even customize it more by changing elements and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what Sand Kingdoms was designed around, where you can have basically all the models in the Sand Kingdoms by default, they have the Elder affinity, so the primal magic. But with the upgrades, you can actually change these affinities or add new affinities, basically unlocking you a whole new, how you would say, a spell tree of spells to add to the play. So yeah, again, a lot
have
of variety.
someone who summons creatures and then someone next to him casting fire and all sorts of stuff going on with combos. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Basically, spells were a lot of work, but they are a lot of fun as well.
You seem to have added an element of mana for casting spells.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is that we're just having a look through the rules, and it says that a mage or whatever can basically give up activation tokens to gain mana. But does every class use mana, or is it just sort of wizards like mages?
It really depends on the complexity of a spell. So it doesn't really have to do a lot with the actual class, except that, well, mage allows you to generate mana counters. But essentially, the more powerful spells will require you to spend mana counters to cast it. So it's a resource that you accumulate. In a lore sense, basically most spells are quite simple spells where you don't need that much mana. So basically, you could consider like one activation, also counting as you have enough mana to cast that spell. But some spells will require you to absorb more mana to cast it. It's basically a resource for you to pay for the spell. And yeah, those will require you to cast more.
Yeah, because we hit a small snag in our game, and it took us a while to try and figure it out. Because the only one that we could find that had, sorry, we're getting a bit rules heavy.
We just
No.
The only one we could find was the mage the class gives you the ability to generate mana by giving up your tokens, but we couldn't find any other way for any other class other than mage to actually generate them. So are they like an accumulating thing, or?
They are accumulating thing. By default, only mages can accumulate mana. Other classes in the future will require some, items and so on to help them with that. But yeah, otherwise, with the currently available models, the only one that really needs to accumulate mana is the summoner of the Sand Kingdoms, the Vizier of Conjurations. She needs that mana for summoning creatures.
And there's also the priestess. There's also
Mm-hmm.
the priestess that has one spell that requires mana.
The
the
succubus
priestess.
for the coalition. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's got one that requires 2 mana.
Okay. But does she have mage?
She has mage.
Okay.
So we got the Flame Shaper.
The Flame Shaper
has Soldier and Sorcerer, but she has 2 spells.
But no way of generating mana.
None of those spells require. It's basically a trait called mana cost. It will say how many additional mana counters you need to spend. In her case, she doesn't need to spend any mana counters to cast those spells.
That's cool. Okay,
So
so it's a lot like a true sorcerer who has the magic within them, sort of thing. That's what you're going for?
Yeah, basically. Those mana counters are just, for extra mana that you need to spend.
Yeah, some spells are just too powerful to cast without a long chanting or something like that.
I read the one that Priestess uses 2 for, and it's like, you need to be generating extra for that.
I haven't been torturing Karen yet with the Sand Kingdoms with their monster summon and things like that. But it's very intriguing.
I have a feeling you're going to, though, because I keep kicking you out.
It's a lot of fun.
It is. You've done very well. And the actual, even though the monsters' miniatures are optional because you get counters in the actual adventure box, it is definitely worth getting those earthen creatures because you've got alternate sculpts for them. You've got an alternate sculpt for the Colossus. It's a really good set, really nice set, and they're just absolutely stunning.
They're very cool.
Yeah. In your, you're doing the expansions, but are you doing just like earthen creatures again of a different type, different things like that, or?
Yeah, as I said, there's 7 elements, so we have 6 more to cover. So 6 more creature boxes in the future, at least.
Wow. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
You got to take it easy because this is your first product, your first sort of Kickstarter, which did fun, which was very good. It's always nice to get as much money as you can.
Yeah.
Getting some more would have been good, but you did well. You've produced an amazing product with what you had. The factory, how they've worked a lot with you on this one. I take it. Were they good?
Yeah, they were fantastic. They helped a lot with the whole preparation of the miniatures for the physical production and so on. They were definitely amazing at that, as well as with other documents and so on. All the dimensions, all the settings we had to keep in mind and so on. They helped a lot, and providing us with templates and such to follow. I think we had a really good experience with the Unicorn manufacturing. They were fantastic, and they are fantastic still, helping us with the things to come. Very positive experience with that. We had a few other manufacturers before them, but no experience was as good as with them. To be fair, it was quite frustrating working with others because they were not providing us with anything helpful. That definitely prolonged the whole development and, caused a lot of gray hairs and such. So, yeah.
Oh, dear. But I mean, it's to be expected. There's not a lot of places that sort of launch a Kickstarter and just everything just seems to work for them. It's just one of those things. It takes time and it is a learning curve. But tell you what, the product here, it's really nice. Really nice.
Yeah, I mean, Kickstarter is also a frustrating phase, especially if you're a first-time creator. If you're not a first-time creator, you already know, the ropes, how things work. But for example, in our case, we did so many mistakes during the campaign that we shouldn't have, that it was sometimes really a miracle that people stayed with us and supported us till the end.
For example, there's a funny story. We actually launched the campaign by a misclick.
Yeah. Kickstarter didn't Kickstarter is constantly changing things in the background a bit, like removing some features, adding some new features, and so on. And it was like, is your page ready? And we click ready, and the Kickstarter was like, page published. Like no dialogue. Like, are you sure you want to publish the page or anything? Like, just you're like, okay then.
Go.
Yeah. And there was also a whole problem with the shipping. Like for the first 2 days of the campaign, I don't know what they changed. They again changed something last minute, the Kickstarter. And when we were inputting the data for each pledge, for example, you need to put in the price, the description, and then the Kickstarter wanted us to put in the shipping cost. and it didn't allow us to move past that option without entering something. And they even noted next to it, it's just for informative purpose. And yeah, we were like, okay, so shipping is about that. And we clicked it. And yeah, at some point during the campaign, people were like, wait, is that okay that Kickstarter is already charging me for the shipping and so on? We were like, no, that's not okay.
No.
And then we had to navigate through the problems. First of all, we contacted the Kickstarter support, and they replied that they will reply to us within 90 hours. We were like, yeah, definitely, we have 3 days to wait for their reply. So what we had to do is like do the pledges, and you contact all the backers that already backed those pledges, and if they could, divert to the other pledges, remove those, and so on. So yeah, there was a lot of problems. And another problem also was that we launched a campaign, a completely new game, basically side by side with the Witcher tabletop board game.
No.
So that was definitely not working in our favor. So choosing a right timing for launching your campaign is very important,
Definitely.
I think. Yeah, but still, I'm very thankful for the people supporting us during this time, especially.
I think anybody who's been using Kickstarter for very long gets that they screw it up occasionally, and it isn't always the guys like the creators that are messing you around. It's just Kickstarter's system that just goes, no, we don't want to do this way. We're going to do it this way. If you really like the product, then you just stick around and you wait for it to sort itself out. I've backed a few.
Yeah, I know you have. It's all right. You're still in therapy.
I'm still in therapy.
one day at a time.
If you guys do another one, I'm probably going to have to back it.
You're going to trip him over the edge. Oh, all that work.
Looking forward to your support. Thank you.
That's all right. I'll fall off the wagon.
Is there anything you want to share with everybody who's watching? Anything at all?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for supporting us through the entire process and us learning the ways of being a creator and a game publisher. Very thankful for that. Thank you so much. And well, I guess a short apology. Sorry for not delivering things earlier. Logistics seem to be quite messy in this year with the whole global situation. Of course, there were shipping issues globally, and then there's war not so far from here and so on. That's basically causing every single company to panic and so on. So yeah, there's a lot of problems with that, and countries on a short notice changing the customs regulations and so on, what we are basically facing at the moment in Germany. But at the same time, we are doing our best to basically get things through that. And do look forward to getting as soon as possible. I am daily working on these matters to sort them out as fast as possible. It's just taking some time, for the custom agencies and things like that to reply to me. But other than that, we are continuously and steadfast in the game development. We have a lot of documents ready. We are producing some more videos on the gameplay tutorials and so on that hopefully everyone can use, to enjoy the game to the maximum. And stay tuned for more updates and such. We have many things in development, and I hope you will be enjoying the journey as much as we are.
Well, there's going to be dungeon crawling, and I'm in.
That's right, exactly right. For sure. Well, I think that's it, because we are definitely going to get you back onto the show, because we want to keep track of your journey and things like that. But I do sort of, if you keep going like this, I think soon you won't need Kickstarter. You'll be able to sort of walk on your own 2 feet, and that will help you a lot.
Fingers crossed.
We are already trying that with the Wayfarers. So we are already determined that smaller releases will be immediately available, through the web store, through the retail, and so on. While we will be doing Kickstarter for more ambitious projects.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Well, I'm definitely going to get those Wayfarers because they look amazing. They look absolutely amazing.
Thanks.
So good.
I'm getting
should get ready in January.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we
cheers, guys.
wish you continued success. We will be with you. But for those of you who want to pre-order, you can do it. If you're in Europe and things like that, you can go directly to these guys, and Freecompany will take care of you. But if you're in Australia and New Zealand, Alpha Strike has it up for pre-order now.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
It's all right.
Cheers,
See you next time. Bye.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Do we have to get Pillar to tell us how to turn this off?
We have a spy. We have a spy for Freecompany.